This 1965 Mustang came to Wilwood a little rough around the edges, but with confidence gained through the installation of our front brake kit, this iconic classic will enjoy a second life. This new Wilwood brake kit comes with forged Dynalite 4-piston calipers. They're equipped with high-performance brake pads, clamping on to 10.75-inch diameter rotors. Now, this kit is designed to work with the OEM 4-lug wheels. Be sure to pick up a Wilwood stainless steel braided FlexLine kit so you can complete your installation. It's time to take this Mustang out of the pasture and into the stall. Let's get started with the installation. Following the manufacturer's instructions, raise the front wheel off the ground and support the front suspension. Remove the lug nuts and lift off the front wheel. Remove the spindle nut retaining cotter pin and unscrew the spindle nut. Slide the drum off the spindle. If you find it stuck, try tapping it with a rubber mallet to break it loose. Remove the bolts that hold the brake pad backing plate assembly from the inboard side. Lift off the backing plate assembly and hang it to the side using a piece of wire. Clean the spindle mount face to remove any nicks, burrs, or grease that may interfere with the installation of our new Wilwood parts. Initially install the caliper mounting bracket with clean dry threads. We need to test fit it to make sure it fits squarely. Install the bracket oriented as shown using the supplied bolts and washers. Place one spacer between the bracket and upright, securing it with a nut. Tighten the mounting nut to make sure the bracket does fit squarely against the mounting points on the spindle. Once proper fitment is ensured, remove the bolts one at a time and apply red Loctite 271 to the threads, torquing them down to 40 foot-pounds. Install the wheel studs into the back side of the hub, apply red Loctite and torque them down to 77 foot-pounds. Now we need to mount the hat to the hub. Apply Loctite 271 to the bolts and torque them in an alternating sequence to 55 foot-pounds. Orient the now built hub hat assembly with the rotor as you see here. Attach the rotor to the hat using the supplied bolts. Apply Loctite 271 to the bolts. Use an alternating torque sequence to tighten them up to 25 foot-pounds. Pack the larger bearing cone with high temperature disc brake grease. Install the large inner bearing into the back side of the hub. Press the grease seal into the back side of the hub so it's fitting flush with the end of the hub. Pack the small outer bearing cone with high temperature disc brake bearing grease and install it onto the hub. Slide the built hub, hat, and rotor assembly onto the spindle. Secure it in place using the OEM spindle nut and washer. Adjust the bearing according to the OEM specifications. Install the saved OEM nut lock and a new cotter pin. Place an O-ring on the dust cap and screw the cap into the hub. Friction from the O-ring will help prevent the dust cap from unscrewing. Remove the protective sticker that is over the caliper fluid inlet. Coat the supplied inlet fitting with Teflon tape and screw it into the caliper. Start with 2 shims on each bolt between the caliper and the bracket. Mount the caliper onto the caliper mounting bracket using the supplied bolt and washers. You're going to temporarily tighten the mounting bolts to check the alignment. Try checking the alignment by looking at the rotor through the top opening in the caliper. The rotor should be centered in the caliper. Once you have it centered, remove the mounting bolts, apply Loctite 271 to those bolts, and torque them down to 40 foot-pounds each. Install the disc brake pads into the caliper. Now let's make sure the friction material is facing the rotor. Secure it in place using the cotter pin. Connect one end of your Wilwood FlexLine hose kit to the fitting. Mount the FlexLine along the same path that the OEM hose traveled. Connect the other end of the FlexLine to the fitting at the brake hard line. Secure the line as necessary, making sure there's no contact with any of the moving parts such as suspension, brake, or wheel components. Now, depending on what wheels you're running, you may need to install the wheel spacer to ensure the proper contact surface. With the installation complete, This 4-lug Mustang can roll out of the garage on stock wheels with the added confidence of Wilwood Disc Brakes. Bleed the system, referring to the included supplemental information data sheet for proper bleeding instruction. Bed in the brake pads and rotor in a safe location before general use driving.